Alright, so this time we started off talking a little bit about the circle of fifths and how it can be used to determine the chords that sound good in a certain progression. And so you find the chord that you're going to be using for your main key, and then all the chords clockwise and counterclockwise to it. The closer they are to that main note, the better they're going to sound next to it. So if you were talking about C, you've got G and F, right? And if you think about it this way, you got your 4 and your 5 on either side of it as far as the 1, 4, 5 progression. So that's a good way to have a shorthand to that. But as you get further away, for instance, like B flat, like so, okay, if you're just doing the 1, 4, 5 of C, F, and G, it sounds pretty good. But once you start to add the B flat, it changes tonality and it gets a little bit different, and that's further away from that C in the middle. It doesn't mean that it's wrong, but it means you have to kind of shift and in order to make it make sense with whatever progression you're doing. And then as you're moving up from that C, you'll also notice that it's a fifth above, which is part of how you're creating chords. You use your root note, a fifth, sometimes an octave, sometimes a sixth, and really you only need 2 notes to make a chord. So if you find a root and a fifth, you're square. You've got a chord, you know. Hopefully, and there's also the idea of creating scales out of this circle of fifths as well. And there's a little key to this, which is whole note, half note, whole note, whole note, whole note, half note. And you get to the whole note by jumping over clockwise the note right next to the main note of your key. So if you're in C, you jump over the G and you end up in D. And then you have another one, right? Whole note, whole note. So then you jump over the A and you end up with E. Then half step. So to get a half step on the circle of fifths, you go directly across from where you are and then move over just one place to the right. So if you're in E, you jump over to B flat, and this will make much more sense when you're looking at the actual sheet. You jump over to B flat and then you move and then you got F. And then wherever you land, from there is where you keep going. So there's still another whole note, whole note, whole note, half note to continue. But once you do that, you've mapped the scale, the general scale for that key. All of the notes that can be played in there and sound automatically fine. So that's pretty useful for that. Maybe for next time, you can kind of play around with this, find a chord that you like, and try to move a little bit around and come up with a progression that you think sounds kind of cool. I think that'd be kind of a fun exercise. And then we looked at, sort of similar to last week, as you're trying to find out how to play songs that are cool, you're finding they're not always having the chord names listed. And so we kind of mapped out the chords and how to position your fingers for doing the Stairway to Heaven intro lick, which revolves around an A minor played in like a bar chord way, with an ascending lick on the high string that eventually descends on the G string. And then, so it starts out with A minor, then it goes to C, then it goes to D, and F, with an extra note that's not typically in F. It's kind of a dissonant thing. It's a E note instead where you would usually have the actual F, but that's the way the song is played. So I wrote down that particular version of the chord, and then the little lick at the end is a G to A minor thing. And this is just so that you know that you don't have to hunt and peck for the notes. You can have them in some sort of chord that allows you to not have to move your fingers a whole bunch while you concentrate on using your right hand. So I wrote all those down so that you can use that and kind of compare it to what you've been looking at online and see if that helps a little bit. And so yeah, maybe for next time, come up with a little progression. If you feel like mapping out the scale that goes along with that progression, that would be cool too. You don't necessarily have to, but I think it'd be kind of a fun exercise just to sort of work with this circle of fifths tool and see how it works. And all of the stuff that I was talking about in it are included with this little handout that has all the instructions about how to use it and everything. Any questions or anything?